Well, howdy, y'all. Welcome to another electrifying episode of the High Voltage Live Show. I'm your host, Willie Snyder, coming to you live from the Mile High City in Denver, Colorado. I'm joined by my awesome co-host, Mr. King James Stalkup, over there in Big Sky Country, Texas. Give me an old hook and horns for the Mile High City and say what's up to you, old King James Stalkup, representing the Stalkup Electrical Education. And it's so awesome that he's just bringing us so much good stuff. Creator of the podcast. And as always, who do we got coming in? He's just crawling back. I mean, we got the 7-time champ over here. 7-time Willie Quiz champ.
All ties.
Just letting you know, Daniel, you will never get off the 7-time champ. You're always going to be a 7-time champ. We'll see.
That is unbelievable. I couldn't freaking believe that. I sat and watched it. I said, man, that is bad. You know, I saw a post. I started laughing. It said, you should not make fun of young kids that believe in Santa Claus. Because there are people out there that actually think the Dallas Cowboys, adults, think the Dallas Cowboys are going to win another Super Bowl. That's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is, like, it's funny because I told Daniel, I was like, dude, nothing bothers King James about the Dallas Cowboys, so there's nothing you could say. And then, here you go, Daniel. Really, dude? You have to go there? All right, you know. But yeah, welcome in, David Engelhardt.
Hey, David.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you, sir.
Let me take control of the screen real quick. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, David's going to be excited. We finally got it, David. It's coming. January 1st. For real, it's going. It's on.
Well, let's take a look. I was sort of in there today getting ready and everything. I went ahead and pulled everything up, sort of give you a quick demonstration of what we're going to look at Sunday. But here's my profile here. I'm just going to go over here. I've got a lot that talks about my profile, all that. And there's all kinds of stuff on here for when you do post, the amount of hours you've been on. I've got 87 hours on, and that's just checking through the publications. That's not the time it took to build the damn thing. So
nice.
Then you'll come down as you go through each one of these. You'll have badges you collect for your achievements and all that. But the one I wanted to show here was the NEC Deathmatch.
So do you still have to put it in your cart?
Yeah, it's
like
still
in
have
your
to put it in your cart because you got to create an account in order to be on anyway. So you got to put it in your cart. So but once it's in, it's in. And there will be some free things on there, you know, like I'm going to put one on there. It's a free that you can get for, I'll go and show that here in just a little bit.
So, like, all the free things that I want, I just have to put all those free things in my cart and then check out and for $0, and then I got all that stuff?
Yep. It's
okay.
There. So, having all that. But this gives you an idea here. It talks about the questions, the calculation problems, the time frame, just gives you a quick thing about it. But you can go right here, which will be down here, or you can be up here at the top and continue right here. So I'll just hit continue, go over to it. This will be your death match here.
Nice.
These will all be down together, but I will have October, then I'll do the November, the December, January, February, but there will be a timeline on when you're going to have access. You'll have the whole month of January to do this. It'll start on January the 1st, and then I'm going to show here, like this particular one, when you get ready to start, you'll see the clock starts right up here at the top. So you'll have an hour to do this. This here will be 20 questions and 4 calculation problems. Based on the calculation problems and the type of questions I ask will depend on the amount of time you have here to take this test. Okay?
Nice.
Now, I want to show you
Hey, whose idea was this? No, I'm just kidding.
You're going to love this. This is freaking awesome, man. Now, watch this. I'm going to go here, the profile here again. And as you saw, I got a few things down here. But let's just say I wanted to look at now all of these are just publications. These are not the online courses yet. Those are going to be built, but we will have access to the publications, and it's cheaper that way than doing the online course, because the online course there's going to be a lot of interactivities and things like that. But if you just want great publications that are online and access to, this is the way to go. And I'm going to show you how cool this looks. Now, when you come over here, I've already got this in my purchase here. I can just continue and go to where I want, or I can scroll down. Now, I want to scroll down because I want you to see a couple of things. When you come down,
is that the grounding and what was that the grounding and bonding, or that's a journeyman?
This in here is a generator, transformer, motor publication.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell what the cover was.
Yeah, and when you look at this, right here at the top, we've got the generator portion, and we got this where you can purchase every bit of this separately too if you don't want the whole thing. So,
what's the minimum price? Like for like one of your publications, like didn't you say it was like $10 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think probably about $9.99 is probably the cheapest.
And then that would just do like one section of the transformer, generator, motor.
Yeah, it could be just one of them, depending on the size of the chapter. Like if I was looking, just say I come down here and I was at motors down here, and I'm looking at doing overcurrent protection for individual motors. That's a big chapter. Where I'm doing motor and branch circuit conductors, feeder and branch circuit. That's a big chapter. Troubleshooting motor windings and components is a big chapter. But the cool thing that I've done about this, as you come on here, you can come in here and you can go straight to generators. You can go to transformers or part 1 or part 2 of the motors. Or you can come down and just go to individual chapters. So say I was come down here and I just say, you know what, I want to go over and look at troubleshooting motor windings and components. Click it.
Right.
It automatically sets you up in this chapter right here. Now, you can set this up here. You can increase the size you want to see. I can go up to 200% to look at it. You can do whatever. I'm just going to fit it in the page for now. All right?
Right.
Now, as you're going through this, let me go back up here at top. Over here, you can...
So that would be, like what you're showing there, that would be how you find the points, or what exactly part of troubleshooting is getting shown right there?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't even looking. I've already pulled up.
Okay.
So...
Because I know you had that one where you could find the points, which that'd be really helpful.
Oh, we got...
sometimes those numbers get wiped off, and then, you know...
Well, just like this, it's talking about... testing your voltage testing for winding circuits. This is for Y-connected motors. We come in and talk about it here, how you should test them here, and what type of markings that you'll see when you're doing that testing. Then we talk about testing the other leads here. We go through the whole thing, but looking at this,
and just for people out there that don't know, that's like really important, because when you're running like a Megger test on your motors, you got to make sure you understand what the insulation value you use is, because if you're using a wrong insulation value, you'll think the motor's bad when it's still good.
Right. Now, one of the cool things that's here is you start up at the top. We tell you about this portion of the chapter we're covering and everything, but this is the best part. It's one thing here on the left-hand side that you can go through whatever chapter you want. But after you pick your chapter, you can come in here and select. And say I'm looking at this here. This all links within the publication. So let's say that I just wanted to go in and I wanted to look at testing and finding the leads of a Delta motor. All right, it's going to take me straight to it. And you're going to see, we come through and we talk about taking the measurements. We got the charts down here, things that you're going to look at, and you can scroll through this and we tell you what your final reading should be, and then your double check markings here. So it rolls down through the whole thing, and you can see we got the new testers, motors, everything has been just completely updated.
And I like the color illustrations. That's pretty freaking sharp, man.
Yeah, there was a lot of work that's been done on this. Now, I want to show you something else. I'm going to go back to the course page here, and I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to show.
Just keeping you humble though. Just keep in mind there could be something better out there. We just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I'm still waiting. All right. Now, say you want the grounding and bonding.
We were talking about the SOARS book the other day. You never know. They got some slides over there at SOARS.
Right. Well, let's. I'll tell you all this. Go compare, because I'm going to show you what this looks like here. Now, you'll see here we got grounding electrical systems. Here, this is the full publication. It's 234 pages. Or you can come down and just select. So say I just wanted to go look at, let's just say I want to look at the grounding electrode system. All right. It's going to take me over here. You can tell I've been going through all this stuff here. I've been checking everything left and right. Now, as you go through this right here, we've got it set up. Here's your table of contents. So, and this all deals with your grounding electrode systems and your conductors. So, say I just wanted to come in and I wanted to look at use of the strike termination devices. Come in here. Here's set up here. It'll tell you what we want to tell you. We give you all these sections to look at, and we tell you to look at 77, and then we tell you to look at 78. So we've got two illustrations here that's showing how you go in and set this up grounding. We're showing you where the typical thing they would do here, where they have these strike devices here. We would come down, they would set a driven rod, come off the driven rod there, and then they would tie it into the ground ring around the facility. So
question for you, like how many, like if I was to purchase that grounding and bonding publication, how many illustrations roughly am I looking at getting with that?
I would probably say around 300, somewhere in there, I would assume. I'm just guessing off.
I think the SOARS might have more though. I don't know, but I just like, is it really like
there's our pictures. They have more
it
pictures than they do anything.
So the one thing I want to like tell everybody that they have to understand is that the way that the stall cups do it, there's more information in each, so that you don't have to have a separate slide. So they pack the information more in the slide. So that's the one thing I do like about how you set up your illustrations.
Well, here's a good.
There's a lot of information in each one.
This gets into your grounding conductor installation here, and just look at all the sections we're referencing there. We're telling you go look at this. Everywhere you go in here, you're going to see a lot of sections that are put together here. And a good example, let me go to lightning protection here. Now, I'll tell you this. When we did the lightning protection, we were the first to ever do the lightning protection. Okay?
Well, remember,
you saw SOARS come out with lightning protection after we did.
Yeah, so the one thing that I did like, and everyone needs to go back and look, we did an episode on the Ufer ground to the light pole, remember? Mm-hmm. And we found it in there, remember? It was considered like a metal structure.
Sure. Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool because I've never found that in any other publication.
Sure, and if you look at this, these are all things that are broken down here that you would want to look at. So let's just say that I wanted to look at, for instance, let's just say I want to look at the use of arresters and filters. Okay? What you're going to see is like this one here. I'll increase this so you can see it. You'll notice we come in and we did a lot of work showing you exactly what an arrestor looks like. And then we broke it down to show you inside what's inside those arresters. Okay? So
yeah, and just to let you guys know too, I've done a lot of work out in gas and oil. Those arresters are required for certain transformers. Like you have to install them. Like it's part of your spec. Sure. You know, and stuff like that. We have to know about that when we're doing like industrial, because we have to be telling the customer like, hey, you know, your job specs show this lightning arrestor on these transformers, and so we have to install them, and we don't have them. And a lot of times that's part of the reason why you have to have these publications so that you're on the know of what these job specs are asking for. Because Daniel has a funny comment. Yeah, if you don't want to muff, block punts, lose the game, then we don't want you anymore. Like it just seems like that's kind of been the story of Dallas this whole year. Is just they kick out all the good people and like keep all the guys. But Dowdle's done all right. But just responding to Daniel, but. That's just one of the reasons why I think that these publications are so important, James, is that it gives us that power as the contractor that's out in the field. We can actually charge for these things, and the customer might not know that they put that in the job specs, and it's required if it's in the specs that we install it.
Sure. Here's a good one. Show them one of the arresters located outside the IT room. And like you were talking about for the transformer and everything, and going in and feeding them. So we even show here the traveling waves here of what you would see based on the IEEE Green Book. It goes through and talks.
I don't know. That doesn't look like a Rocky Mountain range. I don't know. That looks like some mild hills in like New Mexico. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
It ain't Rocky. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, but I know.
Just looking at everything, you can see how detailed we go in and show all the different things that you would need to look at here. And
nice.
There's just been a lot of work put into this stuff, man. I'm just telling you. But
hey, if I wasn't busting on you, you'd be asking me why I wasn't busting on you. So.
Oh yeah, I don't bother me. Now I want to show you one other thing. This is something you're not going to see in others, okay? Like here, I'm going to increase this a little bit, but what I want to show you is, if you notice, anything that we're setting up here, we're going in showing you where it's grounded here. Notice that we do everything in the green conductors, because we want to make sure that you know that that is part of the grounded part of the system. So as you're going through here, you'll see, even in the transformer connection, hookups, everything, we've done all of that. It just, what I tell everybody is go check the competition and see what the difference is. When you're like, here's a really good one right here, showing where we're going to another panel board, and you're going to notice right here, we're not showing where you grounded this. This is a sub panel. Okay, right. But over here you'll see where we got it grounded and everything, the neutral coming in and all that. And then you'll notice we also put up at the top, because we want to make sure you see that white wire there. We did like a little dotted box around it in gray, so you could see the white conductor there. That's all it is, just so you can see that. But otherwise you wouldn't see it with a white background. So we did little things like that, so everybody could see the difference in what we're doing. We even come in, we show you how to do all the calculations and everything. I mean, there's not much else for me to show here, because I don't want to get into everything and run everything when we get there Sunday night. Yeah. But this gives everybody a great idea of what we're going to be showing come Sunday, and
just kind of a preview. Just kind of a preview of the learning management system, kind of what you can do. Like, I think what's going to happen, James is going to give me access on, like, Saturday, and then I could go in, like, drop a whole bunch of memes and just kind of blow the whole thing up. And then, you know what I mean, we'll have, like, a really good, like, kind of blowout party, and you could go through and be like, what the hell are you doing over there, I'll be like, well, I'm just trying to find where all that missing content is that I've been missing for all these years. And, I know that you're going to get back with me at some point, when you get back on your feet and everything, you'll get me those code changes and stuff. But, like, the whole thing is, I think this is really awesome. I joke around a lot with King James, and I took his 2020 continuing education course. I really enjoyed it. I thought I learned a lot. I liked the way he set up the tests and the questions and everything. I thought it really helped me learn. And I said, we should just do this as like a contest. And so he's like, yeah, let's do it,
Yeah, so we're going to have, by the time we get ready and everything, we'll have everything ready for the state of Colorado this next year. I know y'all are not due 2026, but here by summertime, I'll get approvals and everything. I'm going to be working on the 2023, getting it all put in and everything, and then I'll start submitting to states and stuff, getting approvals. Everything is coming.
So there's two things that we have problems here with. So the one thing is that I go reciprocate to Wyoming a lot to go work in Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
And I can reciprocate and I can go up there and it's not a problem. But other people that haven't been grandfathered in, so they had this thing that started January 1st, 2011, where you have to have 4 years of class hours. And so in order to go up to Wyoming, they have to have all those school hours. It has to be accepted by the state of Wyoming. And in Colorado, you don't have to have that. You only have to have like 281 or 241 or whatever it is. So that's the problem we're having. And if there was some kind of program that was state approved that they could get those class hours, like, dude, that would be freaking awesome. You know, that's what everybody's been asking me about. That's what we've been trying to get going. So, and to do it online, like the way it's set up with you, would be just freaking awesome, you know. And like I say, that whole program logs all your hours, everything on there. So if you were able to just get all your hours logged on there through your learning management program, like that'd be amazing. Like so many people would be interested in doing that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of where we're working towards. But we don't want to fill up this whole night with this. And we will have a special podcast coming Sunday. We were not quite to 30,000 yet. We're still at 29.9 or something. So we're right there, but we'll probably do the 30,000 on Sunday as a celebration. You know,
I think you'll be there. I think they're about 20, 30 away from being about 35 away. I think it was. So.
Yeah, it's real close, but go. Jump in and check out Electrical Code Discussion for Awesome Electricians. It's it's one of the groups that I kind of made just as a joke because I got kicked out of the other one, and then we made it as a joke, and now it's thriving. We're I'm dropping massive amounts of content in there, and we're just having fun talking code and just getting everyone's take on different angles. And I'm even letting stuff fly in there, people advertising for hiring people. Like, I don't care. It's electrical group, whatever, you know. You guys can drop certain things in there, but, like, if it's, like, hardcore spam, I'm not going to allow it. But, you know, like I say, if it's, we like to try to keep it code related, but if it's not and you're just talking about an install or something or just talking whatever, just want to ask questions, I'm fine with that. It's an electrical group. It's not just strictly code. So we have fun in there. And like I say, we can always ask King James questions and, you know, kind of give him a little crap, you know, and just, you know, have fun, like getting your duct seal to pass on the incoming lugs for a barrier. I don't think that's gonna fly with King James, but like I say, you know, I can at least try. You can send me the picture. I'll try to send it past the inspector, see if I get it past there. But I don't know. Like I say, the duct seal. What we had to do, I think, and you know, the gentleman remembers this who sent it to me. We're going to have to carve it into like a column and make it into like a Roman pillar. And then it will look like a neat and workmanlike manner. And then King James will have to pass it. So, you know, we'll work on that. You know, maybe work on some sculpting skills or something. You know, not just glob some duct seal on lugs. You know, maybe see if we can work on that. I can see the duct seal though, like over time, kind of getting brittle and dried out, and then you lose your barrier. So I could see that angle, and especially here in Colorado, I think it would happen in a pretty short amount of time, just to get real rock hard and just dry up and crack off, and then you lose your electrically non-conductive barrier. So we'll see how that goes. But that was really awesome. You guys can look back, and I will be transforming Sunday into a Spotify podcast, the Nat King Code podcast. So
awesome.
Yeah. So all right, let's go into the meme, I guess.
All right.
Dude, totally true story, man. I was doing this job, and we were constantly turn lights off, turn lights back on. We were working on them. I'm doing all this stuff, and one of the painters came over to me, and he's like, "Sir, I need light." And I just went over there and I grabbed one of the frog eyes off the wall, and it turned on. I was like, "Here, you got 90 minutes," and I handed it to him, and I went back to what I was doing. But it was so funny. Here's your flashlight, man. I don't have time for this, man. I got stuff going on. But it's pretty funny, us being the keepers of the light. And they always, I think the whole cry thing, I always hear it in the meetings. We go in the meetings, they'll be like, "Yes, I noticed the hallway was a little dark over here." It's just oh, come on. Did you have a lume meter? You know what I mean? You're just what? They want us to just light this whole building like it's brand new, and it's so hard with temp power. It's getting a little bit better with LEDs, but it's just, to get light everywhere, it's hard. It's tough, but that was my one. When I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, I hear that at least once a week, 5 times.
I'm listening, but I keep going back and forth because I'm being attacked over on NEC for Dummies by Jeffrey Bauer and Jeremy Weed. Telling
nice.
me, hey, just so y'all know, all the questions I put on there are from an idiot that doesn't know the code or any of the standards or anything. And plus, anything we put out is the worst that's ever been put out. And plus, apparently, all the things I do and everything, get where I was, I sucked you know what. So they're putting that out, saying that's the kind of things they say that people that disagree with them or they don't like, because they sent for my code and Brian Jackson. And
I got good news. I got good news for you. I was on there asking AI a whole bunch of questions, and it seems like AI is excited for the future with us and this podcast. So
awesome.
One of the things that AI really liked was the myth of the week. Let's roll it.
All right.
It's time for Myth of the Week.
Alright, so we're going to take a little time travel back in time to when I was doing... So we had a first group that was called NEC for Dummies, and somehow, magically, in the middle of the night, it got shut down and erased with 40,000 members. I can't remember. It was a lot of members. Mm-hmm. And we don't know what happened. Nobody told us anything. Didn't tell me anything. I don't know. Didn't ask any questions. But we had this post that I did, and I was just kind of asking a question because a lot of these tables and stuff that's in the National Electric Code come back from the 1800s, early 1900s. And I was kind of curious, how did they find this out that number 12 could carry 25 amps in, 75 degrees C? Where did they get all this information from? And so I asked King James, and I was like, dude, it was crazy because I was just kind of asking about it. And then King James says, well, yeah, the rule of thumb is that after 100 foot, you got to factor in voltage drop.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, okay, where do you get that? And he's like, straight from the tables. And I was like, what? And then he tells me, he goes, yeah, those values that's in there are based on chapter 9, and they're based on a 1,000-foot run. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, originally they were only using like number 12 for 20 amps or whatever. They started running it 1,000 foot and then burning up wire, and then they're like, oh man, we got to factor in voltage drop. That's where we get all the voltage drop formulas and stuff. But this is really actually your baby, the whole myth and everything. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool, and it looks like a lot of our haters actually enjoyed it too. Like they're in there saying we're wrong, saying we're stupid, can't read, all this stuff. But the whole thing is, like, I think you have something that might even shed some light on this.
All they got to do is go back, look at the American Electrician Standard Handbook they used all them years back. I guess you're going to tell us all them people were stupid too.
Right?
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
Anybody disagrees, all the rest of us are stupid. And that is what you did over at ECD. I'm just going to tell you,
True.
You go against the ruling class over there, then you're just stupid. But before we get started, can I show one more thing I forgot? Because we're doing this. I want everybody to see this, because this episode we're doing right here, this will be on there. So
made it. I made the big time.
All right, let me show you.
I'm gonna be on TV, Mom.
Look at, see where it says blog up here at the top? You click blog here, and look here. Right here, this is going to come up, and you're going to see I've already started doing some of them. But if you want to look at the myth of the week, you just click here. Everything's categorized. These are the ones I put in so far. And anybody that's been to the YouTube site knows there's a lot more than this. So I'm going to come back and start adding all these. If you want to come in and see the topic of the week, we've got it here. One of the things also it's going to be added, you're going to see Dad's going to be doing a few articles and stuff in here. So like one I have is for motors I've done. Here's one you want to click. You can come in here and you'll see we have an article that's written on this, on sizing the overcurrent devices and everything with the illustration. I even took here and even put the answer key to show you the answers here as you're walking through it. So
that's cool.
We're going to have all of that. That'll be going on there. So we're going to have quite a mixture of things to look at through the years. So
that's freaking awesome. And the thing is, everyone knows, like, I basically organically come up with like my myth of the weeks. Like usually it'll be like an apprentice asking a question or somebody saying something on a job site, and then I'll call up James. I'll be like, hey, this is what we're doing. And he's like, what? Like, how am I going to find slides for that, dude? You know what I mean? And it's so funny. And then next thing you know, like, we kind of collaborate. Like, he's had times where he's went back, done research all the way back to like the 60s, 40s, stuff. And like, we cannot find any point in the National Electric Code where the definition of outlet was different. You even went back to like 47 or something.
I went to 47 and just quit looking at that point.
Now, all of a sudden, apparently we were all doing it wrong because they got a new definition for 2026. So,
we'll see. That's not going to stay. No way. But anyway, let's look at myth of the week. Let me show everybody what I put together here. Now,
let's do it.
The myth of the week was asked, the values in table 310.16 are based on 1,000 foot of conductor length, and that is true. That's goes back a long time ago. I don't remember the exact time it went back. I went back, found information back in the 40s, and I stopped right there. But I did find out a little bit of extra information when I was looking at this. I actually had some time last night, and I got home and I was like, I want to do a little research on that. I went in there and grabbed publication, and anybody that's ever seen our library, we go all the way back to the 1800s. We got stuff back to there, stuff that was written. I mean, we have an extensive library here, and Usually when I'm giving you something I'm pretty certain about, it's usually because I've gone in and I've done the research on this. Now, one of the things I want to point out is when you look at table 310.16, I've always told y'all the rule of thumb is once you get to 100 foot, over 100 foot, you need to start looking at doing voltage drop. Okay?
Right.
Now, I'm going to show
Bless you.
you some things that I've looked at, and I'm going to show you the distances here. Now, when I looked at this, I used to think this was based on because it was a solid copper conductor. This is not true. Okay?
Right.
After I started doing more research on it, I was like reading and I kept reading and I was like, no shit. I was like, okay, well, let's look at this. Well, what it really was back then and what the difference is today, the reason these footages were given back then, and this was in the American Electrician's handbook. You go in there and look at that, they're going to show you if this was rule of thumb, if you had a voltage drop for 120 volts here, they would tell you here that at number 14, you basically, once you were over 50 foot, you need to start looking at doing voltage drop. Number 12 was 60 foot. Number 10 was 64. Number 8 was 76. Number 6 was 94. And then for 240 volts, number 14 was 100 foot. Number 12 was 120. Number 10 was 128. Number 8 was 152. And number 6 was 188. Now, why?
So were most of these solid conductors, like below number
Yes.
10 was solid and then above was stranded, or were they all solid?
Well, no, they all wasn't solid at that point. Is when you got up above these. But it didn't say, so I'm not 100% sure. But I think once you got on number 6, I think number 4 started to be stranded. I think that's right. But don't quote me 100% because I didn't have the information to track that. I'm just going based off of sort of what I saw in the publication. But they didn't state that. But what I did learn is what the difference is between the conductors today and then is the insulation. And it was the insulation that actually limited what this distance was.
Wow.
It had nothing to do with the copper. The copper would still carry the same type of amperage.
Can you flash back? Can you flash back to my picture really quick on my myth?
Yeah.
So, do you see my joke in there? He's wearing a mask and it's 2020.
Yeah. You did that on purpose.
I had to throw it in there.
But
2020 National Electric Code. We're still wearing masks.
Still wearing them. Now, as I looked at this and everything, I was reading, and it never stated anything about solid or stranded. Okay? And from talking, I sort of remember, this has been a long time ago, but I sort of remember somebody saying it was right up into the 60s that they started using stranded. Don't quote me 100% on that, but I sort of remember somebody telling me that one time. So I have.
Yeah, we actually did that with a myth on voltage drop and found out that the solid was actually better against voltage drop than stranded at certain applications.
That's right. And what it really come down to was the insulation of the conductor that made these distances this way. So then when they came out with the better insulation, then the rule of thumb shot from there that they were teaching back when I was going through apprenticeship. They basically said when we were in apprenticeship, they said once you get over 100 foot, then you need to start looking at applying voltage drop. And I remember them having it on the test 2 different times. Matter of fact, when I did my master's, I had to go through, do this full calculation and everything, and then I had to come in. They did it in a way to where you had to apply a voltage drop and go up to a larger conductor.
Okay.
So these are things that I would tell people to look at, that the table was at that time based on 1,000 foot run. That's what the averages were. But once you get at 100 foot or more, then the rule of thumb at this point is you need to take an applied voltage drop. And if you look here, as I was getting these distances and everything, even in the American Electrician Standard Handbook, they come in and said that this was a rule of thumb. These are the distances you wanted to look at. Start applying voltage drop once you got over that area.
Yeah, and I want to give a big shout out to all the people that participated in the Nat King Code Myth of the Week. It was really awesome. I get a lot of really good comments in there. And one guy had a comment in there that I thought was really awesome. And he says, it doesn't matter if it's 1,000 foot or 1 inch. That's what you got to do. You know, that's your size, you know. And it meant a lot because that's the way the table was designed. They weren't telling you like this is the length you have to use or anything like that. And so I think the big thing that King James and I have tried to push a lot is that there's a lot of things where they want to make this code like a rule book. Mm-hmm. And it's not technically a rule book. It's like a guideline. It's like a supporting document. It's something where you want to be like somewhere in that range. You want to throw darts at that number. You know, you want to make sure that when you're throwing darts that your number's really close to hitting bullseye every time on what that document's trying to get you to do. When you start getting outside that, which is a lot of what's going on with the 2026, I mean, dude, I was blown away. I was just blown away with the amount of things they pushed through in 2026. There's some good things. There's some bad things. I mean, you know, a lot of the good things I thought was combining 404 and 406 and just making wiring devices. And then, you know, 404 is actually just going to be, just going to be disconnect switches. And 406 is going to be knife switches and, you know, wiring devices. Which I think that's good. I think that's cool to put them in the same. But then the whole thing, what we were talking about, is they're saying that 404 never even had outlet in there at all. Mm-hmm. That's what they're telling me. Did you see that? I don't know if I sent you a link to the podcast, whatever. But it was like, I told him, I was like, so if you make this change, then you're saying that there's not going to be any outlets in 404 anymore. Outlets are only going to be in 406. And they're like, oh, there was never any outlets in 404 to begin with. Mm-hmm. So it's like, wait a minute, you know. Yeah, it's hard because, yeah, that's cool. I like it, you know, because that's saying that the disconnect can never be an outlet. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, now you're saying all the outlets move to 406 now magically when, you know what I mean, every branch circuit's supposed to have an outlet. It's just really hard, thing to... I think we're going to have to work through it a little bit, try to see what we have to do to, I don't know, get some common ground. Because honestly, what I feel that from the public inputs that we submitted for 2026, I feel that there's two separate circuits. There's a circuit that connects to an outlet, and there's a circuit that doesn't connect to an outlet. Mm-hmm. There's not always an outlet there. By what we submitted, they said the outlet doesn't always have to exist. You know, and you know, you can call me whatever you want. You can say all the things you want, but that's the whole reason I submitted it, because I was like, either you're gonna say this or you're gonna say this, and they said this, and that means that. And guess what? An outlet doesn't have to exist on an individual branch circuit. If you would have said an outlet's there on an individual branch circuit, you could have easily said that, and they didn't. So,
sure.
I don't know.
All right.
That's the whole reason we do these Myths of the Weeks. Thanks so much, everyone. Myth is confirmed, and busted at the same time. So we appreciate it. We appreciate all participation. King James has a great topic, and let's roll it.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey, I want to say thanks to everyone over on Rumble watching. We got 3 viewers over on Rumble. Appreciate it. Don't forget to smash the likes, and appreciate everyone over there on Rumble on the green side coming through.
Appreciate everybody if they share it too. Apparently, that's a big thing. I did not know that, but sharing it is a big deal. So
like and share. Yeah. Didn't we hit 3,000 views or something? I thought you said
something like that.
Yeah,
we have, this podcast has really grown. I mean, when you go over and look at LinkedIn gets a lot of views. I think we had one on there. We had like 60,000 views. I was like, oh, yeah. And it just, we're getting more and more, but we get thousands and thousands of views through all the social media platforms we run through and all that. And now that I'm getting learning management system stuff, I'm about to really start popping over on TikTok and also on Instagram, getting those going. And then I think I'm going to set up on X too and get that going. So there's a lot of things that'll be happening this coming year with all the stuff that we're going to be adding continuously. And it's gonna be awesome.
Sure that you give King James a sideways hook 'em horns, because he wouldn't put the hook 'em horns up that way unless he didn't want it to be sideways on the screen. So sideways hook 'em horns. Here, I'll go over. I'll go right next to it. Hook 'em horns right there, like right next to it there.
Playoffs start next week. I'm ready for it, baby.
All right.
Let's get in this. Now, what I'm going to do this week, if you remember the last 2 weeks, I dealt with Article 130.4 dealing with electrical shock risk analysis, and then I did 130.5 where I did the arc flash risk analysis. And one of the things that kept happening over and over and over through all that as we looked at it, it would refer me back to 110.3, and but more specifically, it was taking me back to 110.3H. And that's where we get into the hierarchy of risk control. And basically what I decided, since, I was going to do another topic, but I was like, since I'm in this, let's go ahead and finish off a little bit of it and show everybody what they were talking about when they kept referring back to there. So
just to kind of get it in layman's terms for everyone out there, dude, I get this so much. People are like, what was James talking about? And the hierarchy of risk control is basically like me as a foreman. I need to remove that hazard if I can. So I need you to be working in an electrically safe work condition. Like, if I can shut it off, I'm going to shut it off. If I shut it off, is it electrically safe? No. So I have to verify electrically safe work condition before my employee goes to work at that. That's the hierarchy of safety. Now, if we don't even have to be working on an electrical system at all, like we don't even have to go into the electrical system, now there's zero hazard at all. So that's where it comes into the hierarchy. You have engineering, you have me as the foreman that's verifying that electrically safe work condition, schedule shutdowns, all that comes into your hierarchy. So I just wanted people to understand that kind of and go back a little bit, but I didn't mean to interrupt you, James.
Oh, it doesn't bother me at all. You do it all the time.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure, because people are always like, hey, what's he talking about? The hierarchy of risk control. I'm like, that's what he's talking about. There's different levels of risk. Like, if you were to sit there and tell me, hey, I need NEC Code to come install this breaker, and I need you to do it energized, I'd be like, hey, can we do a scheduled shutdown, install it at midnight? Yeah, there's your hierarchy of risk control right there.
You can go back and tell them I picked on you now.
Yeah. Like I said, I enjoy it. I mean, dude, I have like 10,000 pick-ons coming on me because of how much I pick on you, dude. Like, dude, I pick on you so much, man. It's so funny. Like, you're such a good sport, and like I say, I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. Like, I pick on you a lot in the quiz, and I change the rules a lot. And
that's pretty fun with me. I don't care. I had guys at Florida night, and they said, "Is there anything that actually even bothers you?" I said, "No, not really." I said, I learned a long time ago, things you can't control, why are you going to worry about it? And I've always been that way for about 30 years now. So,
nice.
And that's why I look so young and handsome and everything, so.
There you go. Dude, I'm telling you, I'm the only brother that has a full head of brown hair. Like, all my one brother's bald and my other brother's got white hair, And everyone's always like, dude, you're the oldest and you still got... And I was like, yeah, just don't worry about stuff. I just laugh. And
that's
like,
right.
Every time they talk crap and say, yeah, you guys are a bunch of idiots, I just do a little laugh emoji, just whatever, move on.
That's why I'll just tell them what I think, move on. I don't care if they get pissed off or not. All right.
There you go.
Let's look at the electrical safety.
I appreciate it, and we're going.
All right. The general requirement is this. The employer shall implement and document an overall electrical safety program that directs activity appropriate with the risk associated with electrical hazards. That goes without saying. Then I'll just read the first informational note because it's the most important. The others give you things to go look at, like note 2 is informed NXP. That's information on implementing the electrical safety program. And then note 3 and number 4 deal with IEEE based on what you're doing when you're dealing with the practice for operation and management of industrial and commercial power systems. Okay.
Hey, so first stupid question of the night.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm asking this stupid question for everyone out there. Are informational notes enforceable in 70E?
No, but you should look at them.
Okay.
I'll give you an example of that. It's sort of like when you look, I'll give you a quick example. Let's say that I'm looking at 110.24A and looking at the informational note there in NEC, it'll reference 70E. And when you get over there, that's where you deal with your available fault current. Well, when you go look at the 70E and you go look at 130.5G, I think it is, you get in there, we tell you in the 70E that every 5 years you should check that to make sure that is the correct available fault current where the code doesn't tell you that. So yes, the informational notes are important to know. That's just a good example that relates back to here dealing with your electrical safety in the workplace.
Okay, sounds good. I just wanted to clarify that kind of. So a lot of people say informational notes are not enforceable by inspector, but they could be if you don't follow them and they pile up on you.
Sure, and that's why it's good to know the other codes and standards that go in the direct relationship they have with each other. That's why when you look in our publications, you'll notice sometimes we'll have standard loops and we'll have the NEC and other standards that you need to look at that correlate with what we're talking about. Because sometimes I could go in there and just make a statement and they go, what the hell? I don't see that in here. Well, that's why we give the other stuff, because this is additional information you need to know.
Okay.
Now, information note number 1, it says safety-related work practices such as verification of proper maintenance and installation. Now, I want to stop right there because when I look at the design, when I look at the National Electrical Code, that's your design and installation manual. Okay, so once you've met that equipment, as far as the 70E committee is concerned, That's in proper operating conditional. In other words, that's normal operating conditions. It's not abnormal. But when it can be abnormal is if you hadn't provided proper maintenance on that equipment. And there's a lot of ways to look at that, but in order to determine if proper maintenance has been provided, that will be done based on the manufacturer's instructions. If you don't have the manufacturer's instructions, then you need to consult and refer to the NFPA 70B document, which is a maintenance of electrical equipment. Okay?
True, 100%.
Then you have alerting techniques that need to be in place, auditing requirements, and training requirements, which we'll get into a few of those. Okay? Now, as I go through and I look at this, I also tell you inspection. And they tell you the electrical safety program shall include elements to verify. Now, listen to what it says. That newly installed or modified electrical equipment or systems have been expected to comply with applicable installation codes and standards prior to being placed in service. And that goes back to what I was saying. And when you go, as an example, if I go look at 110.24B and I pick that up for my available fault current and you start adding to the system and you upgrade the system and everything, you've modified it at this point. That can change what the available fault current is there. So this is what it's talking about, making sure if you have any modification or anything that you're complying with applicable installation codes and standards. So I would be looking at 70B also with this because it tells you still, if you did a modification and it didn't increase it, in 5 years you add some more, then every 5 years you at least have to check to make sure that that available fault current is what's listed on the label, which is required.
So I have a good example of this. We were working out gas and oil, and they had a piece of gear that we had to terminate a 4,000 amp transformer to.
Mm-hmm.
And the mounting points where we had to mount the conductors was inside the part of the Bakelite, behind the Bakelite area. And the engineer didn't like that. He wanted us to terminate outside that Bakelite area.
Mm-hmm.
So what we had to do is we had to take a piece of bus. We had to bolt it to that plate that we were supposed to bolt to. And then we had to 90 angle it outside of that Bakelite. And we actually modified that equipment, extensively modified it with new bus bars, it was all the same size, it was all the same rating, everything. Like, we did all our research, we covered it with the inspector, everything, you know. And we actually had to do what they call like a emergency modification because the engineer didn't like us terminating on. We had to pull this Bakelite off, then we had to terminate them, then we had to put this Bakelite on, and then they're like, nah, we can't do that. So we basically had to go back and modify all this equipment to bring the bus outside of the Bakelite so that we terminated all those conductors on the outside so that they had visual inspection, they had, maintenance criteria. You wouldn't have to remove this piece of Bakelite while energized. Like, there was so many things that went into it. And that's where it comes into this whole risk assessment and everything. Is it better to just modify the equipment to mitigate risk? And yes, it is. It is way better to modify the equipment to mitigate risk. We actually think there was supposed to be plates that were sent with this equipment to extend those connections outside that Bakelite. But they didn't come or something, so we had to make them, and it was approved by the inspector. We torqued them, we did everything correctly, and they're still in service today, you know. But
awesome.
That's one of the examples.
Sure it is. And the next one is condition of maintenance. It says that the electrical safety program shall include elements that consider the condition of maintenance of electrical equipment and systems, which I've already talked about. And then there has to be awareness and self-discipline. And basically, this is designed to provide an awareness of the potential electrical hazard to employees who work in an environment with the presence of electrical hazards. and the electrical safety program has to be developed to provide the required self-discipline for all employees who must perform work that may involve electrical hazards. So basically, it's just to instill the principles and controls. And then
Nice.
when you get over here, you look at the electrical safety program principles, and it tells you a good example of that's to go look at Annex E, and then you got your safety program controls, and we tell you to go look at Annex E. And then for the procedures, we also tell you to look at Annex E. So basically, we give you a typical electrical safety program procedure that you follow. Now, what I'll do next year, once the 70E book comes out, I will break these down with the tables and everything, because we have all the illustrations being drawn right now. And then we'll break this down, and I'll show you how to go in and set up the electrical safety program based on doing the electric shock risk assessment and the arc flash risk assessment, and how to fill that out. And then I'll go back and tie it in where you have the facility, contractor, employee involvement, and how you go about signing it off where everybody knows of any potential hazards that could be there. All right?
So,
Now,
question for you quickly. Who is the most dangerous electrician when it comes to this 70E document? Who is the most dangerous? Is the guy who went through training and knows how to do all this? Or is it the guy that doesn't know all this, you know? Because to me, that's a good question. Like, if you know all this and you still try to do it, are you more dangerous than the guy who doesn't know it and just doesn't know he's doing something wrong?
well, it always
It's kind of a
been
good question.
You know, I've always said the most dangerous electrician out there is the guy that just got his journeyman.
Yeah.
Thinks they know everything.
True.
And
True.
they really don't yet. They, you know,
Looking at the wage they just got.
yeah, and I'll tell you, back a long time ago, one of the most dangerous was your older guys, older electricians who were used to working stuff energized.
True.
I mean, you know, I just look at it from a whole, what I've seen through the years. And, you know, I remember when I turned out I was a journeyman, I thought I hung the moon, boy. I was ready to go. Yeah, I had a lot to learn. You know,
True.
so usually it's the people that, you know, don't take safety serious. Those are the ones you got to worry about. And
True.
that's why we take in the 70 document and clarify unqualified persons have to be trained to recognize the hazards around them.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, and like I say, I wasn't trying to interrupt you again. But I really think it's important. Like, there's so many people that, like, send me messages and ask me questions, and, you know, it's really cool when I can address them and have you live and just be like, hey, you know, what do you think about this? Because to me personally, I don't like the whole gung-ho approach, like, doesn't matter, you can work at Energize, it's only for a second, you know, all this different stuff, you know. And I think we have to kind of like come to a reality from an electrical industry. I know that they want this like overemphasis of safety with GFCIs and everything like that, but I feel like it has to come back down to earth. Like, we can't just non-stop I just feel that we just can't keep doing this whole, like, add GFCI, add GFCI, add GFCI. Like, I mean, yeah, it's cool, but the equipment has to work. So I feel like safety kind of has to come back down to earth, and I feel like safety is knowledge. Like a good example is we're looking at a refrigerator, right? And I was like, yeah, you know, these guys are passing all this GFCI requirements because this refrigerator could have possibly killed somebody in the past, you know?
right.
And then we start looking at it, and the refrigerator's not metal. How can a non-metal refrigerator kill you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so the whole thing is that's part of these statistics that I was going off of when I was submitting my public inputs for 2026 was I was like, hey, here's a refrigerator that's killed nobody in its whole entire history. Why does it have to be on a Class A device? You know?
Yeah.
And it's just this arrogance of these guys that's just like, nope, gotta do it. You know, like, I agree with you, and we have to continue to push electrical safety, knowledge, and training all across the board.
Sure we do. And that's why I say when you get into this and you start looking at it, as a good example here, it tells you electrical safety program shall include a risk assessment procedure. Then when you look at one, it talks about the risk assessment procedure and what you need to address here, that the employee may have exposure to certain electrical hazards. So they tell you first you got to identify the hazards, assess the risk, and implement risk control according to the hierarchy of risk control methods. And then when you look at note 2, it gives you Annex F to go look at. Well, let me go over here and pop this up. I'll share a screen to show everybody.
Annex F?
Yeah. So when you go look at Annex F here, as an example, this is where you get in, it's an informative annex, but it gives you a lot of great information here. Okay. And as you're coming down it goes into the introduction to risk management, blah, blah, blah. And you just keep going down. But where you really want to get down to is right here, where they get into the hierarchy of risk control. Okay.
So what part of 70E, just, I'm not trying to like ask a dumb question every 10 seconds, but like what part of 70E actually is enforceable?
Pretty much.
Is any of it enforceable, or is it basically us?
Because OSHA and facility stuff, OSHA uses it as a remedial standard. And what they'll do, they use it as a remedial standard to enforce certain parts in their standard. So in other words, like if you didn't wear the proper PPE, they could cite you on that. That's how they use it. So say they use the 70E to determine that you needed at least 8 cal and you only wore 4 cal and got burned. Guess what? You're responsible for that.
Hey, James, do you have like fireworks on here?
No.
Because guess who just showed up? It's our #1 fan. All right, what's up, Gopher fan in the house?
Oh yeah, he's on Facebook already, complaining. I'm providing a free contest and everything, and out of my own pocket, even gonna give $1,000 to the winner. I'm doing all the work and everything, and I still get roasted for it. I mean, it's freaking believable. But I've just got to where I don't even care what them guys think anymore.
Yeah.
But,
Meta AI said you were correct.
Well, I don't know what to say about that, but that's cool. But when you get in, you look at this, you get into the hierarchy of risk control, and it gets in and it talks about the risk control methods. And this is to help you identify the most effective individual or combination of preventative or protective measures to reduce the risk associated with a hazard. And basically, they come down and we give you the methods, and then we give you some examples here. And this is what they're talking about when they get into the hierarchy of it and what we're wanting you to do. So if I expand the table here, you can get a better look at it. And it just tells you whenever you have exposure here to electric shock and arc flash PPE, they tell you need to wear PPE. You got to have procedures and job planning tools. That's part of your administrative controls. There's always got to be awareness, signs alerting a potential presence of the hazards that not only the qualified but unqualified employees would have exposure to. And then you got your engineering controls. And this is where you go and try to reduce the likelihood of electrical contact or arcing faults. And you'll remember in the last podcast we did, I was talking about arc flash risk assessment, and I was going through that, and I was explaining the different type of things that you would look at to help mitigate that. And I said, like we added in the National Electrical Code, we added 240.86 and 87 in there. That was from the 70E committee, and things that you could do to help reduce the exposure you would have by having a clearing time that operates much higher. Okay, so
yeah, and one thing that everyone needs to understand too, when we actually did this, there was a lot of confusion from some code people out there that thought that the limited approach boundary, restricted approach boundary had something to do with working clearance. And that was actually debunked. So,
and that's why we go through all these things.
That's why I ask some dumb questions sometimes.
Yeah.
Never know.
Well, and then they tell you got to also look at human error. So it says the risk assessment procedure shall address the potential for human error and its negative consequences on people, processes, the work environment, and equipment relative to the electrical hazard in the workplace. Now, this and what it does, I'm not going to go over and do all this again, but it would take you to Annex Q. And when you go over and you look at Annex Q, it gets in and it basically has the introduction there. And it specifically right at the first talks about the hierarchy of risk control methods. And it'll talk about first eliminating the hazard. You could be substituting other materials, processes, or equipment. You got the engineering control again, establishing systems that are in place that help and increase awareness of potential hazards. And then you get in your administrative controls, and what is that? Well, that's where you get into training and the different type of procedures that you have, some instructions that may be used for that equipment, and also your scheduling. Okay, and then it talks about using your PPE.
So what's the number one administrative tool I could use as a foreman that's gonna eliminate electrical hazard?
Training.
De-energize work.
Well, yeah, but that's all based on training and your procedures that you put in place.
Schedule shutdown.
And
you always have a scheduled shutdown.
I'll give you another good example because you get in they got one, I think it's Q.3 if I'm not mistaken in there in the 70 document and annex, and it'll deal with information processing and attention, and the attention is very important. And I'm going to give you an example of this. Let's say that I'm working on it while it's energized. You have to have a keen understanding what the difference is between the limited approach boundary and the restricted. And I stated this many times, once you get in the restricted boundary, we consider that the same as you're working on it. So there's no inadvertent movements. Therefore, based on that would be having attention and employee awareness at that point. Okay?
Yeah, and one step further on that would actually elevate with like your justified energized work plan, because you would have more workers involved in that work plan, versus the scheduled shutdown. You would have less workers involved. So when you come into administrative controls, you actually can reduce that likelihood of injury because you reduce the number of people involved in that thing. That's part of administrative controls.
Sure. And look at this. If you look here, the hierarchy of the risk control methods, look, it lists the exact same things I just looked at in that table, right in order.
Yeah.
So that takes and sort of ties that in from the last two podcasts we did when you're looking at applying 70E and what they were talking about when they got back to the hierarchy of the risk control methods and tying it in with the table.
Dude, that is so freaking awesome. And guess what? We have people sitting here waiting to come check out the Willie Quiz. Let's roll the Willie Quiz.
All right.
So everyone, I always usually do the Willie Quiz at 1 hour, but it's 1 hour 17 minutes. 17 is my lucky number, so we're going there. But this one, ChatGTP was down, so I had to do this one myself. So there's gonna be a lot of mistakes in it, but still fun. Gloves that are chemically resistant are made from blank: A, pigskin; B, cowhide leather; C, rubber; D, cotton; or E, silicone. Good luck, everyone.
Well, it's interesting.
So I made this one super, super easy just for you, James, because I knew that we'd have to start out easy and then just get harder as we went, you know. But this could be, you never know.
It's C, rubber. We actually.
Oh, what? You just copy Daniel's answer? You just right away come out and copy Daniel?
Yeah. Well, this one is actually. We even talk about this in the 70 document where you're dealing with batteries and stuff, and we tell you got to use rubber insulated gloves.
All right. Well, I want to start out easy, and you are correct. Copy Daniel, and you got a right answer. So good job copying Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel, for
that. Yeah. Question number 2. All vehicles used for transportation of explosives shall have tight floors, and any exposed spark-producing metal on the inside body shall be A, concealed with, covered with blankets; covered with plastic liners; C, covered with wood; covered with spray liner; or E, not even used at all. Good luck, everyone.
Now, you're probably wondering how I know this question.
This is a risk hierarchy right here.
Well, the reason I know this one is I was doing work out at Pantex, which is in Amarillo. That's where they do the explosives, and they have the beryllium and all that. And I actually created a course for them on 70E. It was mainly electrical, but they had other things in there for people that worked in the area. And one of the questions was that, or one of the things I covered was their transportation vehicles for the explosives and everything. And one of the things that was in there is that it had to be covered with wood. And I've never forgot that. So C's my answer.
Oh man, looks like Daniel goes with D, covered with spray liner. That would be incorrect. You're gonna have to go spray your girlfriend with spray liner because you were wrong, Daniel, and it is correct. Covered with wood. I saw it. I was like, well, this is weird. You
No,
know,
I wouldn't have known that otherwise, but I was actually there, and they do a lot of explosives there at Pantex and everything, and
hmm,
where the beryllium is, you can't even go in that area. And
hmm.
but after they did all kinds of things, but I remember this being part of it when I was teaching it, and I actually did a customized course for them, and they sent me extra information on things they wanted covered, and that was one of them. So that's
All
how I
right.
knew it. How about that?
Dude, I'm telling you, Daniel, it's freaking rigged, man. It's freaking rigged. I'll tell you right now.
I know
I
this
didn't
one
talk
too.
to James. I did not.
I know
Have you
this.
seen me and King James in the same room? See? That's what I'm saying. All right. So, question number 3. A noise level of 95 dB is blank amount of times louder than 85 dB, requiring the use of earplugs for 4 to 6 hours, which is usually the standard for OSHA. Is it A, 3 times? Is it B, 5 times? Is it C, 7 times? Is it D, 10 times? Or is it E, 12 times? Good luck, everyone.
Well, it's funny you asked this one because we actually have this in the 70E and we have it in one of the safety notes, and it's almost worded pretty close to the same what that states there with the earplugs, but it's D 10 times.
So, this is really funny. Just so you guys have context, when I'm screaming at the top of my lungs at King James saying he's wrong, it's 80 dB. He doesn't even need earplugs. But I'm really glad that you copied Daniel's answer because you are right. It is 10 times the level. Like, to me personally, when I saw that, I was like, no way. I was like, nuh-uh.
That's how it's set
But
up. Yep.
I mean, 95 dB is like jet airplane taking off right next to you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like you are gonna have earplugs on. It's freaking loud as hell, man.
Sure is.
You know, so all right. Question number 4: the spoil piles and or equipment must be kept at least blank feet away from the edge of excavation. Is it 1 foot? Is it 2 foot? Is it 3 foot? Is it 5 foot? And this one's very interesting because there was a lot of violations on this. So good luck, everyone.
Well, I guess you're
All
going to
right.
freak out how I know this one too.
Well, I just
You-
I just want you to know, me and Daniel, like we're getting ready to cheat right here because we
well,
went to 70E class before, so or we went to OSHA class before together, so
well,
and I'm totally lying about that, but it was just funny to say that.
the
But
reason I know this one is I'm working on a case right now. You know, the one, it was where they had stuff that was up underneath the high voltage lines. Well,
uh-huh.
one of the things that we also had to check is because there was some excavation that was being done off to the side, and we had to check to make sure where they had their piles and everything if it was affecting anything around those high voltage lines, and they had spoil piles and everything there. And when I was checking all this, the answer was 5 feet from the edge of that excavation.
All right. Well, oh man, James, man, this doesn't get easy for me, but It looks like Daniel is correct. The answer is 2 feet minimum. So yeah, you have. Yeah, we're gonna have to. He's got the challenge flag out, but I'm giving Daniel this one. I went and checked in OSHA, and it says a minimum of 2 feet for spoils and equipment from the edge of the excavation.
Check.
So we're gonna have to check that one. We're gonna have to research that one. Daniel, you have the correct answer from my investigation, but I don't know. I don't have the same lawyers as King James, so I might not have the same good information, but like I say, I didn't use ChatGPT. I didn't use anything. I researched this myself, so the information I came up with says 2 feet is a correct answer.
I know what you're. I think I know what this is. Okay, so this is based on OSHA.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the OSHA test. That's
the 5 feet. I'm thinking about that's what was required for the state of Texas with the utilities and everything.
Yeah, and I agree with that because that's based on medium voltage. That'd be correct.
We're on OSHA.
All right. Cool. James took the W for you, Daniel. All right. Or the L, whatever. But anyway, so question number 5. A repeat OSHA offender will face a fine of blank dollars per violation. Is it A, 17,323, 34,323, 68,323, 121,323, or 161,323? Good luck, everyone.
Well, the interesting thing about this, we wrote the inspection procedure for the Alaskan pipeline at all their pump stations and everything, and they had a repeat violation, and I'm assuming this would be it because it was a repeat's a reason. They had multiple repeats, and ACOSH is what they were called out there, OSHA. We actually went out, wrote the inspection report, and they said as long as they did what we told them to do on everything, they'd wipe away the per violations that were repeat. And at that location we were doing out there, they are a much bigger company, but they were charging them over $160,000. So I'm going to assume it's E, from my best knowledge of what we ran into.
Yeah, well, you know me, I never put E as the actual answer.
Well, that's what I'm going with, just for the simple fact that that's what we ran into, and they were telling us what the violation was, and they got like 5 of them. So, I mean, they actually went up over 160,000 on the last 3. So they had like $1 million something in fines that they were wanting to hit them with.
Did Daniel just say E?
I'm going.
Daniel. Dude, Daniel said E. Daniel, oh, dude, you copied Daniel. And I have to congratulate Daniel. He is the winner of the Willie Quiz tonight. Like, he got it right. It's 161,323. Dude, I asked somebody at the job site today, like, what do you think the fine will be? It was like $1,000. I was like, what?
Not for a repeat. I mean, I think the first one they hit you with is like 17, 20,000, something like that.
I think it's like 22,000 or something. Yeah. But congratulations, Daniel. You'll need to get a golf cart. You'll need to put a crown on top of it. You'll need to drive around your neighborhood in circles, yelling out the side of it. Yes, I won. Yes, I won.
They're supposed
That's what King James does every time.
There's supposed to be an additional question. It's a tie.
Yeah, ChatGPT was done this week, so it was down. So like it's not a tie. Daniel won. He had one more than you. He had one
No, he
better.
didn't. I got 4 correct. Only missed one.
Yeah, Daniel only missed 14.
One. He missed one.
Yeah, so
Tie.
goes to the guest. So. Yeah, it's my rule, man. It's my rule.
I swear, is there anybody out there that gets more freaking ties than me? It still loses.
No, the whole thing is so funny. It's so much fun. We love everyone participating on the Willie Quiz. Thanks so much. If you don't like the questions, hit me up. You can message me on my Willie Snyder profile on Facebook. You can message me on Nat King Code. You can message me on the Willie Jackerson Experiment. And like I say, it's so much fun. I like doing it. Like, dude, there's people that's actually sent me questions like, how come you don't ask about this? Like, James Stallcup knows something about batteries. And then, what's the best way to put them out when they catch on fire? Is it water? Oh, that was a good one, man. You did. Oh, you were like, what? I guarantee it ain't water. I was like, that's the only way to put it out. It's fun. It's fun for me to do this. It's so much fun. Like it was a blast. It's a blast. Like when I throw in the bullshit answers, and then you're like, oh, that's a bullshit answer, and then I'm like, nope. That's the only way to put it out. But it's so much fun. I enjoy it. Thanks so much being a good sport. Appreciate it. Congratulations, Daniel, on his 7th win. He's never going to get more than 7 wins. He's always going to be the 7-time champion. He's never going to get more than 7. He's never going to go to 8. He's never going to go to 9. No, you never know. Daniel might get to like 10 or 12 someday, but he's going to have to beat you by like 2-3 questions. You know what I mean? Like, if you get the tie, you're just always going to be the 7-time champion, But the thing is that we always have fun doing it. And as always, we're going to move on to the tool review.
Oh, yeah, tool review.
It's time for tool review of the week. Sponsored by Electricians Only Tool Review and Nipex Tradesman.
Alright, so we have a new tool this week. I really love it. This is the Milwaukee threading cordless threader. You'll see on the right there's like this little clamp looking thingy, and everyone says, oh, what's that for? Well, what happens is you clamp that thing onto the pipe, onto whatever conduit you're threading, and then the threader threads onto that, and then it doesn't buck your threader or anything, so it keeps it guided onto doing your threads. It comes with 2 I want to say they're 9 or 12 amp hour batteries. Really massive Milwaukee power platform. This is probably one of the best threading devices I've seen out there. The one thing I want to say that I think is awesome about this, King James is always complaining when he was doing like industrial that the threader would like try to like take him and throw him over the throw them over the tri-stand. But this thing has an automatic shut-off, so King James isn't going to get thrown over that tri-stand when he's trying to thread like 2-inch or anything. The one thing I do want to say, I don't really like the dies. Like, I think the dies like seem kind of chintzy to me. They're made out of aluminum. Like, this is compatible with rigid dies. To me, honestly, I would just take the Milwaukee brand and just throw it all away. I wouldn't even use the Milwaukee brand. The power part of it, I like, but the die part of it, I'm not a fan of. I'm an old school rigid guy. To me, I would just use this as like a regular Milwaukee platform and then just use the rigid dies for your threading purposes, because just seems way more reliable and everything, you know. And then of course we have to get Daniel in here to be like, yeah. And I don't know exactly, Daniel. Like I think the regular Milwaukee batteries will work. That's a good question, because they do send these batteries with it, which I think are a little bit more high output. And, you know, yeah, that's a good point. Like, it's funny, old story, James, first time I get sent out to Gas and Oil, they have me, I'm working with this company, and they're like, hey, we're giving you a first year, you gotta, you know, guide this first year and stuff. He's got all this stuff to do, and we already laid him out, you gotta go help him out. And I'm like, alright. And so I go up, it's Daniel, and I was like, yeah, I guess I'm working with you, you know. And Daniel's sitting there threading in the, like, it's in our headquarters, like, it's in, like, the, like, where all the bosses are at and stuff. And I'm, like, really nervous, you know. And I'm like, man, this is, like, not a good audition for me. I don't even know what Daniel's doing, you know. And he's sitting there threading 2-inch with one of these style Power Pony, you know, power threaders, you know. And it's like the handheld one, the plug-in style. And it gets snagged up and it, like, flips the tri-stand, you know. And instantly everyone in there just looks right at me. What is he doing? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I was just like, I have no idea why he's using, you know, a power threader to, you know, thread 2-inch, you know, like as a first year, you know. And that's how I kind of, you know, got to know Daniel, and it was pretty funny. And, you know, like I say, I was just like, you know, I covered for him. I was like, dude, it's his first time, man. Like, leave him alone, man. Let him do it, you know, whatever. But it was pretty funny. And then we checked it out. His offset was wrong, and there was a lot of wrong stuff about it. And so I was like, let me show you how to bend offsets. Let me show you how to do this. And then we fixed it up. And then we got, like, our little robots going and everything. And that was how I met Daniel, first time ever, out in Gas and Oil, and he did a great job. He was a first year apprentice. He was cutting and threading, bending, doing all kinds of stuff, and maybe a little bit over his head. And then I came in as the J-Dub and said, nah, we're going to do it this way. We're not going to use the power threader like that anymore. But this thing, I honestly think it's probably one of the most powerful cordless power threaders I've ever seen. I really like the clamp-on thing, so you can just clamp it on and guide the threader on. You don't have to flip the tri-stand anymore. Just make sure your conduit is tight in the vise, and this thing will thread it on through. And it's a really good for, I think it's like $2,500, but I would buy one for $2,500. It has, like, you'll see the little sign off to the left. It has a little anti-flip thing. So, like, if it starts going to flip, then it'll just automatically shut off. Has an automatic cutout.
What size does it go up to?
2-inch.
2-inch. Okay.
Yeah. And you could comfortably thread 2-inch with it. So far, I've only been threading 3/4 and 1-inch, but you can comfortably thread 2-inch with it. But like I say, that's how I met Daniel. He flipped the tri-stand in the headquarters. It's like where we ate our lunch and where all the bosses hang out, and he flipped the tri-stand, and then he's making a little joke there, because he's like, yeah, you know, you might have to wrap the cord around when you're threading, you know. But, like, that's what happened, you know, is like it got away from him. And there's two things you could do when you have, like, that electric style power threader. You could actually slide a cheater bar in there, and you could have that cheater bar, and then that holds it where you're holding it. But some of the other guys, like, to me personally, I like to be down and hold it down. Some of the other guys like to hold it up, from going up.
I can put it on and I can wedge it right there underneath my shoulder and armpit and bear down on it and hold it when it kicks.
Yeah. So it's just a preference, whatever you want to do. Like I say, honestly, for cordless, I thought it was really good. I'm still not trusting a lot of stuff when it comes to, like, if you tell me about dies and stuff and you say it's all rigid, I'm trusting it. If you say all these dies are Milwaukee, I haven't seen the proof yet. I don't trust them. I don't think they're going to last. I think they're pieces of shit. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. Like I say, I like Milwaukee as a brand, but when it comes to like cutting tools, drill bits, like all that stuff, I just don't think they have enough experience out there when it comes to like rigid and all these other things. Being out in industrial as long as I've been, I don't trust a lot of the name brands for stuff that we use every day. To me personally, I would take all that Milwaukee stuff off, throw rigid stuff on there, and call it a day. That's just me though. It's heavier, it's more heavy duty, lasts longer, it's more proven. That's just me. But I don't know. Like I say, a really good tool. I recommend the Milwaukee Power Threader. Really good tool. I would get one if I was you.
That sounds good. All right. Well, let's see. What do you got left for me? Question of the week. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, you might figure this one out. You never know.
Oh, A, isn't it too?
Oh, James, man, you are correct. It's in special occupancies.
Yeah, I thought that.
But it's actually a 2023 change, so
yeah,
I didn't know if you'd get it or not. But a lot of people that answered, it's not able to be done. You are correct if you're in earlier edition than 2023.
Yeah.
So it was a code change for 2023.
I thought it was too. I don't remember exactly where it was, but I sort of remember it. So, all right. Let's go do the last thing, which is the Wallace shame.
Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame.
I'm sitting there ringing the bell. James is walking down the street. He's showing the picture. Here it is. James is showing the picture and walking down the street. Oh man, I can't believe it. The horror.
Wow.
Oh man. I guess this is out of school.
Wow.
But I was just like, the horror. Like, man, they could have did so many things different. Like,
wow.
I don't know. Like, I gave credit to, Carmen Alvarez. Like, dude, it was a good picture. He had like 3 or 4 on there, bunch of different ones. You have to go check it out on the Electrical Wall of Shame. Yeah, like, if you guys go search Carmen Alvarez's name, he has like 3 or 4 of them of this installation, and it doesn't get any better on this picture.
Wow.
Like, I mean, you got LB covers buried under concrete.
Yeah.
It's going into some kind of MDP, like some kind of equipment, some kind of and it's an MDP equipment that's outside too, so like they'd want all that stuff to be like rigid and like
wow.
done a lot better than that. But that's a pretty good Wall of Shame one. I like that.
That
one.
is something. Wow.
And I messaged him. I was like, a little bit of everything on that one, brother. But
wow.
I was like, letting you know we're going to feature it on our podcast. And really appreciate everybody that just comes in, gives comments, participates in Nat King Code. It's so much fun. Like I say, James is having fun with it. We all have fun with the negative comments, so you know what I mean? Like, we actually enjoy the negative comments. Just keep them coming. Just keep being haters. Just keep them coming, man. I enjoy it.
Jeremy has commented on me on the post for the death match, and he basically just said, "You're just a fraud like your dad."
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
I can't believe. I tell you, man, the jealousy of these people, man, is you want to talk about simping for the other side. My dad, who's never said a word to you or anything, and you're going to say something to him. The guy who started doing the code change book, doing all these other things, was the first to do it. NFPA, bringing him on to get the hazardous location cleaned up and all of that, and he is a member of the IEEE electrical board and all of this, and you're going to sit there and call him a fraud. That's disgusting.
So I've known your dad probably for about 4 years now, 4 or 5 years, and the last thing I would call him is a fraud. Like, I talked to him a lot of times, and like, I don't think he's ever said a bad word sideways to me ever, whether I'm right or wrong. I mean, he's always the most respectful person with correcting you. Well, Snyder, that's a good way to look at it, but you're actually not correct on that, And it's just the way he talks, he's so respectful. He's such a respectful person. He's so respectful to everyone. And like I say, he's probably one of the best electrical code people I've ever met in my life when it comes to talking to him and just him sharing his knowledge. Him wanting me to share my knowledge of how I see things, because he wants to know that way too. You know what I mean? Snyder, you might be doing things a little different than I've seen them in my day, And I just love that about him, man. He is such a great man, and I just always give him the Mile High salute over here from Denver. You know what I mean? And just, just say, you know what, oh man, it's so awesome. That's so cool. I feel like I'm family when I could just, share that kind of stuff. And like I say, I don't see why anyone would say such hateful things about your dad. And like I say, he's a great man. He is ultimately one of the most important, impactful people I've ever met in the electrical trade, and it means a lot. Like, when I'm in arguments with them and I'm like, man, these guys say it's a supply side bonding jumper, and then I show him a picture and he's like, oh no, dude, that no, that is supply side bonding jumper, son. You know what I mean? And it's just so funny the way he talks and the way he carries himself, and it just means a lot. I appreciate you having me involved in the whole situation. It means a lot, man. And like I say, it's been a lot of fun. Us learning together. A lot of times we've done these podcasts where, there's stuff James might not know, I might not know, and we're asking questions. Oh hell no, that was 1968. Well, you're probably not even born there, Snyder. And he'll sit there and tell us the whole story, and it's just really cool. It's just the way he does it. It's just so it's awesome, man. I mean, if anybody hasn't had that experience, you're totally missing out, man. Old Man Senior is just an awesome person, and I really genuinely thank you guys for getting my nickname Billy Ball Cups. I appreciate it. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be Billy Ball Cups all day. I don't care. Just to kind of sharing that knowledge and everything, you guys seeing everything, I'll sit there and tell you, oh yeah, you know about the source freaking sold to IEI for $1, you're like, yep. You know what I mean? And how did you know about that? Because the old man told you, or whatever, you were there, you know what I mean? But that kind of stuff is really cool just to have that kind of pedigree. And I really appreciate everyone joining in with this podcast and just hanging out with us and kind of, you know, just being like little birds on the wall and kind of listening to what these old cats have said back in the day. And they might be right, they might be wrong, but like I say, nobody's really proven us wrong, so we just have to keep rolling, you know.
Yeah. Well, that is the ECD boys over there that make them kind of things. I'm popping them back now.
Dude, it's so funny. Like, I don't understand why there has to be like this whole progressiveness to the code. Like, I don't understand what the point of it is. Like, why it has to progress. Like, you know, to me personally, if you have technical merit, yeah, progress it. But when you have like, all these cases with no technical merit, you're just going to keep progressing it. And, like, you remember that on that video where Bryce Nesbitt was sitting there like, oh, yeah, there's been no incidences worldwide. And all those guys, Tommy D and, you know, Nehan and Ryan are like, yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, really, dude? You guys have to be like saviors of the freaking world, you know? Like, I mean, they're going to keep it the same in Australia. They're going to keep it the same in China. They're going to keep it the same in Japan. They're going to keep it the same everywhere else. But in the U.S., we're going to add Class A protection to it, you know? Like, all right, I guess that's where we're headed, but I think it's going to be interesting. I don't think there's a jurisdiction in America that's going to adopt any of that crap. I think they're done with their stupid
We're
shit.
going to see. You know, it's like I said, there's a lot of things that are not going to, that are going to stick. It's going to get Standards Council, and they're going to say, hell no. I just see it, just like it happened last time. And as far as Jeremy's concerned, and them guys over at ECD, I've come to the conclusion at this point.
2 thumbs down.
Well, the conclusion is everything's about to come out, and now here comes the hate. And they're making incoherent statements like that. And it just goes to show you they're on it's almost like the election. You got half here, half over here. You don't agree with us, they're like the liberal side. They're going to sit there and get on there. You know, we're supposed to be the ones that are caring, concerning everything. But as soon as it's not going your way, they start calling you all kinds of trashy names and stuff. And that's exactly what's happening.
They think that they can like make fun of people and that'll get their way, and that's not going their way. So what do? They double down. They start making fun of your family. Mm-hmm. And that's fine, but at the same time, dude, honestly, James, I really just hope that I'm invited to the King James Stall Cut barbecue someday. I know that there might have been some, you know, things that might have been some disagreements between us, but I think all in all, we're still family, you know what I mean? I think, you know, like when you get those like code changes and stuff, we'll get right, you know, whatever. But at the same time, it's like everyone knows, like when I talk to all the people out there, they know that I'm joking and you're a really kind-hearted spirit and that we're joking around, we're joking with each other. We have a really good time. Busting each other up. You give me crap about the Broncos. I give you crap about the Cowboys. And then there's really no way that the Cowboys are going to like give crap to the Broncos this year. But that's cool. You know what I mean? Like we could still keep, you know, working on it. Like if the Broncos like losing the playoffs or something, then I could expect like a meme or something from you or whatever. And that's totally fine. I'm totally good with it. But I just don't know if it's going to really happen too much. Because we got Bo Nix and you got Prescott, so
hook 'em horns. That's where I go back to, hook 'em horns.
Hey, third time's a charm. Third time's a charm, baby. You might be able to get him the third time. You know,
all right, let's wrap it up. We're almost at 2 hours. I want to go get something to eat. I'm hungry.
We'll see. No, appreciate everyone. Thanks so much for joining. Daniel, David Englehart, appreciate you for joining. And as always, remember, make every day an easy day and hook 'em horns.
Amen. We'll see some of y'all
Wow,
Sunday.
I see.
I'll put up a post, let everybody know about Sunday, and we'll have a big thing. And hope everybody's able to enjoy watching what we're going to show. So, other than that, have a good weekend. We'll see y'all Sunday.